All right, I came up with a great idea last month, and number one, you might notice I changed my pants. They were leather, and they were fucking sweaty. That's right, I had to kill 3 cows in India, and useless, I've got to burn them now. So that's a bummer. I came up with a great idea last month, and anyone could do this. Get an email address, right? And when someone asks you for your email, right, which is like stands for electronic mail, and you get your servant to email them for you, tell them, write down the address, right? Johnny_Rockstar88, right? I was a little late getting that. Okay, you're writing it down for them. You still with me? Yeah. Hotmail, right? You're writing this for them. Yeah, no problem. Yeah. .com. Fuck them, right? I don't use email. Fuck you. Can I email you sometime, Johnny? Fuck you, Uncle Bob. Scum of the earth. Downloads me a fucking demo. Don't worry, Johnny, I'll download it for you. Fucking wanker. Suck on me. Alright, your next classy broad I met at a brothel. Woo! But she wasn't in the brothel. She was there as I was walking out. And I was just fucking drained dry. I mean, I had nothing left. But I seen this broad in an Applebee's commercial, and it's one of my favourite commercials, so I saved a little word for her. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage my favourite broad of any Applebee's commercial, Laura McGibbon, stand-up comedian extraordinaire.
That's so funny. That's what my father said to my mother on their wedding night. I saved a little wad for you. So romantic. Hi guys, I'm Lauren. Thank you for coming tonight to support all the troubles in Japan. And thank you for being such a great looking audience. It's nice. I've performed for many an ugly crowd. But you guys are delightful, and you're all dressed so nicely, and I'm into fashion too, obviously. Okay, you're probably wondering about my footwear. I fractured my foot 2 years ago. It's just a really great way to meet guys, because you guys are fucking sick. And you have all these beautiful, confident women around you all the time, and you're still hardwired to like pounce on the weakest and lamest one in the bunch. And I get it, it's an odds game. What I'm trying to say is I just can't afford a boob job right now. So this is kind of working for me. But usually I dress to impress. And I shop a lot. I was in Aritzia the other day, because although I like to shop, I am very uncreative. And I was like checking out the little shoes they have, and I picked one up, this little pair of canvas walking shoes, and the second I touched it, a sales girl materialized out of thin air. And she said to me, "Oh my God! Those shoes are so good, awesome." They're called Tom shoes. And if you buy a pair, Tom himself donates the same pair to a shoeless child in a country that's not America. And I was like, that is good, awesome. Because I would like all companies to follow this business module. Like for every Ed Hardy affliction or tap out t-shirt sold, a UFC and date rape enthusiast is chemically castrated. I think that's fair. Stop it at the source. Should be the legacy of our generation. We stopped that. If you're wondering why I have a lot of free time during the days to shop, it's because I have issues with employment. Just maintaining it. I'm great at getting it because I am a liar. I once applied at a law firm, and I got there, and a very stern man in a sweater took me into an office, and he sat me down, and he looked me in the eye, and he said, "Lauren, what makes you passionate about the field of law?" And I said, "In the criminal justice system, there are two separate but equally important lawyerings. You have the law and you have the order, and of course you have In my head, the answer to that question was, I've never had a job where I got to sit before. I'm really looking forward to the sitting. I got that job. I didn't learn anything about the field of law, but I did learn a lot about something I like to call the bullshit chain. If you work in an office, you'll be very familiar with this. It's exactly like the food chain, but instead of eating the creature that's directly beneath you, you dump all of your personal bullshit onto it. So in a law firm, it went lawyers, accountants, managers, assistants, Debbie the receptionist. And for a long time, I thought it ended at Debbie the receptionist. But upon further research, I discovered that directly beneath Debbie were the employees of Tim Hortons. And I know this to be true because Debbie would get back from her coffee break and say something like, "You know, people come into this country taking jobs from Canadians. Can't even slice a bagel straight." Debbie, I'm not sure Sanjeet came to Canada specifically to slice bagels. I think she came to escape the bloody genocide that murdered her family, which would explain her shaking hands. So many horrors I have seen. Blueberry mixed bagel! I like to think that after a long day, Sanjeet kicked homeless people on her way to the bus stop. And then those homeless people in turn carjacked the lawyers, thus completing the bullshit circle of life. The world I want to live in. I also watch a lot of television to fill the hours of the day. Do you like that show, Criminal Minds?
Yes.
Yes, pretty great. But it was both shocking and disturbing because something it got a little too close to home when I was watching. A part of every show is that they go to the local police who can't solve the murder, and these FBI agents come in and be like, "We're smart, we'll solve it." And so then they get all the police officers in a room and tell them why they're stupid and like what they're looking for in their killer. And so Agent Morgan goes in front of these cops, puts his leg up, and he's like, "This guy is a classic narcissist. He kills because he only thinks about himself. You will know him because in conversation he will only speak about himself." And that's when I realized if it wasn't for comedy, I would be a serial murderer. Because where else could I quench this illogical thirst to tell strangers about my problems? I would be forced to drive around in a van and pick someone out, grab them and take them to my basement and then talk to them for 4 hours straight. The killing would just be mercy. So sometimes my dad says something to me along the lines of, "You know, your job isn't really a job. You know, doctors save lives. Not the only ones. Just saving lives up here. You're welcome." I'm also doing super great because I'm recently single. I've been here before, so it's not a big deal, but I hope what doesn't happen is what happened the last time where I went insane from the loneliness. And I started hallucinating sexual tension with every member of the opposite sex. Like, for example, I would get on the bus in the morning and the bus driver would say something like, "You're 25 cents short." Am I? That's for you. And then later I'd get to the office, and I'd go into the break room for my morning Java, and Gary from accounting would be there, and he would say something like, "Oh, Lauren, I know you take cream in your coffee, so I got it out of the fridge for you." "Yeah, I take cream in my coffee. Sometimes I like it in my face." I'm sorry, Gary. That was the loneliness speaking. But then I decided that this just wasn't working out at all. So I came up with a new technique to find a really great guy and not a creep and not someone who was unemployed. So I decided I would only date guys with British accents. But mostly because it's a lot easier to agree to lewd sexual acts when it sounds like "they all stick it in your bottom." Why, of course. My liege. Unfortunately, I have a terrible ear for accents, and more often than not, I ended up with an Australian. It's really not the same thing. I would go out dancing with my girlfriends, and he would never come, because at that point I was only giving him a $40 a week allowance. But I would get these phone calls and messages at the end of the night, and they would sound like, "Hello, Lauren, this is Andy. I need you to eat with your friends right now, but when you're done, why don't you come on over and bounce on my dick?" And it was so confusing because the woman in me was disgusted, degraded, and angry. But the slut in me was already outside, hailing a cab. I'm Lauren McGibbon. Thanks so much for coming tonight. You've got some great acts coming, and here's your rockstar host right now. Thanks.